call the meeting to order this evening. The Board of Sewer and Water Commission, Town of Walpole, at the E.J. Delaney Treatment Plant at 6:30 on May 23rd, 2023. As our agenda, the first item would be in attending minutes from January 9th and February 13th of 2023.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Abbott.
on the page 2 of the minutes of January 9th, superintendent's status, the last sentence, raw water line cleaning done. It's not been done. I don't know what.
So we're going to make a motion to strike that.
Right. Well, does anybody remember us talking about that and there was something? I don't.
It's definitely not been done.
No, I know that it hasn't
Raw
been done.
water
The
line
question
cleaning done?
Was there
It's
something?
not done.
I think I asked the question how it was going,
Okay.
I think. And you gave an update.
All
I don't know what
right.
the update was, but
So I'll suggest we strike that line entirely.
Okay. Are there any other additions, amendments, or corrections? If not, we'll accept the motion, Mr. Abbott, to,
I'll make a motion with the exception of that one line on page 2, that we accept the minutes of January 9th,
we have a
2022.
second?
I'll second.
All right, we got Pradeep, second that. Other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you. Now we'll move to February.
Nothing caught my eye.
Okay, anybody else before we,
No?
all right?
I'll
Have
make a motion, we accept the minutes of February 13th, 2023.
Okay, again, Pradeep seconds.
oh,
Just-
wait. Page 2,
Page 2.
bullet 4, Mr. Fisher to reach out to the individual who brought this up. I don't recall volunteering to do that.
All right, so,
Or did we ever get back to the Union Street resident? Was there any follow-up with that person?
This is Wagon Road.
No, 255 Union Street.
this was I think the one had just in a small apartment building, and what,
They got the $500 fee, right?
yeah, and that triggered me to come up with I think breaking it, small, medium, and large.
Have you done that?
Well, yeah, and we like it,
We gotta, we'll vote on it on,
being part of
In
the
June.
rate hearing, yeah.
Okay, so do we want to,
Just strike the Mr. Fisher to reach out to the
Okay.
individual who brought it up.
So.
maybe you seconded it, but you
you.
didn't, we're going to reach out to the individual in other words.
So we.
Seconded by Mr. Fisher, but does it read Mr. Fisher to reach out to the individual, or just me seconded? Because I read it to,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I
Comma,
seconded the
you want to put a
motion.
comma or an?
Put a comma, that'll
Yeah.
work.
Yes, I agree. We put the comma in. So I'll make a motion with the addition of that comment on item number 4.
Page 2.
Should say, motion made by Mr. Abbott, seconded by Mr. Fisher, comma.
Any second on that?
I second it.
Okay, Pradeep seconds. Discussion, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, Scott, could we have your superintendent report? please?
Certainly. Since the board last met, there have been no service leaks or main leaks. As required on that front. South Street's still going well. The section from Washington Street to the DPW entrance on South Street has already been switched over, including Dominica Road, Esco, and Tufts. The second half of the street, we collected water samples yesterday, waiting for the results to come back. Once those come back with no issues, they'll start transferring the surface over to that line, all up to Oak Street. We started our flushing program at dead-end streets, and that will continue as the system conditions allow it. And other than that, still doing the routine items and tests.
Okay. Any Questions?
No, but I would like to get a written report from the superintendent in our package. Okay, and I think I talked to you about this before. Can we please have that? Or you could delegate it to somebody else.
So you want the status report in the package, that's fine.
Yes, I'd like to have that in the packet so I can see it.
In fact, you
And
can have
then,
this one.
well, thank you.
Scott, you said there were no leaks in broken pipes. I recall like 2 weeks ago, I was taking a left on West Street from Norfolk, and there was something going on at South, at PJ Hayes.
Yeah.
Running into a
That was
collision.
a drain.
Oh, that was a drain?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Our guys went out and they cleared the blockage that was in the culvert and got that stopped.
Cool, thanks.
Okay. All right. Now, Weston and Sampson isn't here yet. We're a little bit early, so maybe we could jump down. I did get a last-minute text from Comeau. They're what's her first
Jody.
name? Jody Comeau, about the discussions regarding the converting current block rates to 30 days and the e-check debit card payment. She wanted to know if, I vaguely remember this, she suggested that we thought we would have a workshop, that they were going to provide a workshop for us to understand processes.
That'd be good.
And we haven't had that workshop, and she would like to do that before we vote on it. And apparently she's at the selectmen meeting this evening. So, I mean, I don't mind if we want to hear something about it, but I would just relay that request that we not vote on it until they give us the workshop, which maybe you can coordinate that, Scott, as to the timing on it. I don't want to delay things too long. It sounds like they're ready to do it, but I don't know what
Probably
would
would
be
have
a
done it.
time for something like that, after or before a meeting, or what would you think?
Part of it.
Why not have it at a meeting?
Have it just a part of the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we probably would have had it had we not had the candidates night.
Right.
And, you know, that we wouldn't have been in conflict with the selectmen, which I'm not sure why, but as the, you know, town's accountant finance director, I imagine there's something important, you know, at the selectmen's meeting.
Well, at the candidates night, it was discussed pretty thoroughly, I thought.
Yeah.
So I think the public would be interested in,
Yeah,
yeah.
So we'd have, Scott, you could contact her back and say, can she schedule for our next meeting?
Certainly.
Okay.
yeah.
We have a discussion item here, the low-income home water assistance.
Did you want to cover the comment requests?
Yeah, comment requests on the planning board.
Let's see, yeah, I guess we can do that. We
Yeah.
have 20 minutes, so that would be good, actually. The Bristol Brothers, and we don't have our TV ready yet.
No, but we have this.
Playing up on the,
Well,
electronically.
what I noted is that the town engineer, Carl, had a few comments regarding sewer. You know, the rest are, you know, slopes and things like that deal. I would say that we could send a note to the planning board that we are in agreement with the town engineer's comments regarding sewer, which were points 4, 5, 6, and sewer 1.
Page 3.
Yes, the pages aren't numbered, but I think if we just say we concur with Carl's comments related to sewer.
Both water and sewer. There's the water comments also.
Yeah, that's right, water and sewer.
Oh, I see what you mean, the pages aren't numbered.
No,
But it was item what now? What are the two items?
So, for the water,
Well, let's see. The sewer is on like the fourth page, page
Yeah.
3.
it's in the top, yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the top, yeah.
Yeah, page 3, it's in the profile sheets section, and it's point number 4 and 6, and sewer 1, but all are on the page 3. I don't know, Pradeep, did you have anything else? that
Yeah,
you-
page 3 also, but, all the points like 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Ah, you're right.
All right, so we're gonna ask Scott to,
Even on the page 2, there's a water where it was requested the water main has to be added in the end of the line.
Do we disagree with any of the Carl's comments? If we don't, then I would recommend that we just say that we're in
yeah,
agreement
that
with
sounds all
Carl's
right. What- Patrick, you want to,
comments.
On here, I'm just looking at the water lines.
Yeah,
Scott, you can maybe help me here. I need to see the water lines. I think that was one of the things I was concerned with, how much redundancy there was to this subdivision.
the purpose of this memo was the Crocker Design Group responding to Carl's comments.
So she's A to B.
Well, it could be on the utilities. That's what it's supposed to
Particular
be.
reference is sheet C8.
Okay, I'm not seeing the size of the water lines, I'm not seeing where it connects to other water lines. There's gotta be something here.
This is going to connect to a new water line that you're going to run along Norfolk Street. If you recall,
Ah, what's this, Scott?
Yes.
Bristol Brothers said
These are
agreed
some water
to
lines here. All right,
increase the pressure
So-
by installing a new water line. So they are going to be asking for consideration on some of the fees because there's a mutual benefit to the town and
They're coming all the way up Norfolk Street?
coming all the way up Norfolk Street.
From Maine?
Into the subdivision, loop through the subdivision with an 8-inch.
Do they go right from Norfolk, or they go down Renmar, or what?
They are going to go down right.
This would increase the fire flows up in my neighborhood. What I saw is that from the south tank, it comes out to basically Main Street goes down, and then otherwise it goes up Cedar Street, and you had like, it forked, and what I had suggested is connect the two, keeping it in the same pressure zone. And when doing that, Rick, you had Wright Pierce
yeah.
do the hydraulics on it, and it made a significant difference on the fire flows in West Walpole.
I do have a question here. Okay, Scott, you see this water line comes here and then turns back on itself. Okay, you see the water line coming back, and then it goes out here, okay? Or it goes out here. Why doesn't it follow this gas line, or does it? Are there 3 outlets? That's what I need to know. See this thing here?
That's it.
Okay. This is a water line. This is, okay. So where does it, where does it start? I mean, here's the water line going here, right? Then all of a sudden,
Part of the problem
there's a water line,
was that there was a
starts
6-inch
here,
line that went fed
or
into a
comes back
10-inch
to there?
line.
No,
Or
continues.
what? Is that,
Originally, the area.
This continues.
was
No, no, it
part of the
doesn't.
central pressure zone.
see,
So
it
you had
stops
a
right
small
there.
line feeding a bigger
It's on this
line,
way.
and now
Yeah, it goes one way.
12-inch line.
It comes-
feeding a
it comes
10
into the
into
subdivision,
into it. So
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't it, is this plan wrong, or is there something I'm missing here?
No.
Do you know, why is
This
this,
is a plan that you guys have seen.
this piece of
at
a
least 3
water
different
line
times.
sticking out?
This plan was already vetted by this board many times.
I can't hear you.
They've come.
Use the
before
mic, will you?
They've come before you, sir, on several occasions, and you guys have signed off on the water. The only comments that Kyle addressed were the additional comments that came out of the peer review of the
I'm gonna ask you this
stormwater.
question over again. Why is this water line not attached to these other water lines?
What other water lines are you
Huh?
talking about? I don't know what other water lines you're talking about.
Well, come over and take a look.
I can't see that.
See, that's the problem. I mean, when you say we've reviewed these things, I think on a project like this, somebody from engineering should come in, we should have some display screen so we can actually see, we can all see what the plans are and give us a quick review and explain things so that we understand them. I mean, this.
Okay, comments were provided on at least 2 different occasions by our engineering
The
department.
point is, it's not related to a plan, it's a piece of paper.
Right, so
This
my
and that,
point
you've
is
gotta go
this,
over and
that
look at all
nothing has
these
changed
sheets.
on the water
And the
line.
guys are sitting over there, they can't see.
Nothing
what
has
I'm
changed
talking
on the
about.
water line plan since the last time you guys saw it.
I'm talking
is what I'm
about the
saying.
future.
That's all I'm
talking
saying.
You
about
know, if you're going
processes.
to refer to some other time where you say we was given information, that information should be now when we see it visually. We're volunteers. We depend on professionals to help us, not to make excuses.
Nobody's making any excuses.
Yeah, you are.
I'm just stating
Yeah,
the
you're
fact.
saying that we saw this before, 3 months ago or something. When the
Okay.
comments were there. Then we see it now, and you expect us to remember what was said and how it was said.
So what would you like to do?
I would like to know the answer to my simple question. Why isn't this piece of the water line connected to the other system? Right now, the water comes in one side, it goes out the other, and it goes around in a circle like this, and in this piece, it's just an errant piece, it looks like. I want to know why it's not incorporated into the water system.
Okay,
That's all. I mean, you can see that it looks very strange. You want to, folks want to see?
we'll get that answer for you.
I would like to make a motion that we ask someone from engineering, if Carl's busy, maybe one of the other people could come in here and give us a presentation and just show us what we supposedly approved previously and what's been recommended by a peer review and what's been amended, and show us the whole thing. And I would think that Bristol Brothers, it's a 100-unit mega project, and I think it's big sewer and water impact. I'd like to see the zone shown on a plan, Bill, what you were just talking about, so we understand it. Not that anybody's opposed to anything, but we should be more information. The public might want to know too, and they certainly aren't here looking at these things.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Rick, is these plans available online? I know on the 40Bs, you could go to and you could see the pages, expand them. Now that we've got something, if they're electronically, because I think, I don't know whether it's Pradeep or Jeff mentioned, you got paper and,
Yeah, I don't know if they're available online, I can find out.
And I mean, I think they could, because I know on the 40Bs, you can go to the community development page, and you can see, page by page, because,
If they are not, we can certainly get hard copies from each of your utility plan
well, I was thinking just,
to give with you.
yeah, well, I'm thinking that if it was available online, now that we have the ability to see it, you can blow it up, you can point to things rather than, all right, each of us got a piece of paper, all right, where is it? It's in the upper left corner, and, we'd be
Bill,
able
they
to...
do have it, because when they present the planning board, they hit it up on the screen there.
All right,
So, and Carl was sitting there, and they were talking about it, so I don't know why.
well then, yeah, we
Same
should
thing
see
could
if
apply
that's
here.
possible, I
It-
think,
it's
rather
not-
than
It has to
creating
work for our
paper.
department, Rick, it's just,
Yeah,
it's on them, on Bristol Brothers stuff.
Fine, whatever you wanted, whatever you want to do.
I think it would be useful.
It's a big enough, it's not just like it's 4 houses or something.
No, it's 100, but I mean, on anything, if we have a question, even on, there's a thing off Summer Street we recently looked at, if you could see it, rather than us having to go around and know something, which page is what. We're really only interested in the utility page, for most part.
Yeah.
So if we could just investigate to see if that's a way going forward, now that we've got a way to project them.
And you know what? There may be a logical reason why that isn't connected. I just want to know why it isn't connected.
Okay, so we'll make that request. I guess I'll circle back with you.
Scott, do you know exactly what his question is?
He's asking this,
No, just if you're clear on what the question
Yeah.
is. We'll get
Yes.
the answer by 9 o'clock tomorrow.
sure.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on this particular item?
No.
All right.
So
So we got-
are you okay with the, accepting the comments from the town building inspector, or should we wait for next meeting?
I think we should do it at one time. It's very disjointed, particularly you have plans, and then you have review, and then you response, then you have a peer reviewer come in and change things, and then respond to that. You know. All right. So, do we have anything on Jarvis Farm? Anybody, any questions, any?
There's a photograph in the back.
Yeah, at the last meeting, you would requested a map at the site, and that's what that is.
Yeah,
And
and
that shows the cabins that are gonna be removed. There is one correction on that. There's two of them that are white, that are
What?
actually, there are two of them that
No,
are,
16 and 17 he wants to keep.
right. Yeah, okay, so they're not yellow anymore.
They're not supposed to be yellow.
Okay, then.
And they aren't.
So let's get this straight. The yellow are being removed?
No, yellow is staying.
That's what I thought.
White are being, white we are looking to declare as surplus. Then we figure out what to do with them.
All right.
Well, we just,
There's like maybe 2 that could be potentially salvageable. There's other ones, like, because they're all on hillsides, so the hill is kind of encroached on a lot of these over time. And, a lot of them are touching the ground, sills are rotted out, stuff like that.
so it's the thing that we need to do is to tell the select board that it is okay to declare the ones that are in tough shape as surplus.
Well, I think we need, as I had asked the last time, we need a memo from Mr. Cook, the recreation
well-
man, to what exactly he wants us to do, and then we can approve that and pass it along to whatever.
So let's,
I don't think we want to,
So just to add to that, another request by the board was to have him appear before it. Unfortunately, he's on vacation this week, so we were not able to attend tonight.
but we can just
So
put
next
it on
meeting.
the agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah.
And so that we can get an explanation of what the yellow versus the white and what, and he can tell us, this is what I want, and the rest, as far as they're concerned, are surplus. I don't think we have any interest in any of them. And so we could then, at that point, send a note to the select board that the following, and identify them, should be declared surplus.
could I ask, I guess Jeff would know more. I went down there, I surveilled these cabins, and it's funny, the yellow absolutely is consistent with my view of what I thought they would want to keep. Are these basketball courts actually there, or are those just put in to
No,
show?
they're actually there.
They're there.
Actually, satellite.
Yeah.
Okay.
The tennis courts, the two, and the basketball, yeah. I think the only thing that's not there is in the upper right, the docks aren't there.
Well, yeah, obviously, that's why I wondered,
Yeah.
the docks are obviously clearly are not there. Okay. Well,
And there's a
that's,
small building actually that's kind of in the woods over here,
Yeah,
off to the right of the beach, but they're keeping it.
yeah,
so
there
not
is
a big deal.
something,
There's a building over here,
yeah,
and then there's a little storage shed right
yeah,
here.
yeah,
too.
yeah, I remember that. But I think it would be important for, since the recreation department's the only one who's interested in, to identify specifically what he's interested in, and then we can tell the select board, other than what he's interested in, declare him surplus, and they'll disappear somehow, somewhere.
Well, yeah, and I think he would know to bring a dialogue about what the purposes are, and what,
Yeah.
if there's a secret little building in the woods, what that's for.
We still, I don't know if we still have time, this low-income household water assistant program?
Interesting. Yeah, any thoughts on that? I'll open the floor up to,
I just found it confusing. I mean, it talks about one application for both, these two programs. Households can apply online, and it looks like these might be links to somewhere.
Did you read the whole thing?
Yeah,
You understand it completely?
no. No,
Because I was going to have you explain it to me, because
no, that's,
I read this about 3 times,
yeah.
and now, who are these? There's some kind of authority in here. The LAA, did you see that?
yeah,
When
Looks
we
like a-
had it on our
like a
agenda
contra-
the last meeting, there was more information and there was links, and in fact, there was an address of who was coordinating this for Massachusetts. I attempted to call him, he never returned my call. But I mean, one of the things is, how do we know what people's income is, and are they applying to the state? There was like lots of things that were just up in the air.
Well, the 20 local administrating agencies, where are they, who are they?
Well, I don't understand either, Pat, that's why.
And it has an asterisk on it, a footnote, and there's a website. You see it, number 3?
Yeah.
Did anybody look at that website? Huh? No, I didn't either.
No, I looked at the first one, and actually, I think maybe the second one also.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I'd have to abstain if we're looking for votes on this.
no, it looks like a government morass, all these alphabet, little NGOs, non-government agencies that do all this.
John, what government though?
Exactly.
The federal, state?
Well, this here, it's interesting, the material's dated from January, and then they're talking about,
It's state, Commonwealth by Department of Housing and Community.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, this came from us through the finance department. I would suggest that, being as how you're going to have the finance people in for a workshop session on that other matter, that they can explain it to you better than that.
right, that'd be
Okay.
Because
good.
it came from them. It's not something that they actually brought it to us.
Sure, no, I get it.
So I'll make a motion that we invite the finance department to come and explain the low-income housing program to the board.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
And I have 7 o'clock,
Okay,
so.
very good. The hour being 7 o'clock, we have the appointment with Weston and Sampson.
Good evening, how are you?
We're good. How are
Good.
you?
Depends on what you have to say. to us.
Well, I have nothing bad to say,
Great.
so,
All right, then
so we're obviously talking about the MWRA interconnection, or a interconnection with Norwood that would wheel MWRA water through Norwood into Walpole, to be precise. We evaluated 5 different locations in Walpole and narrowed them down to 2 potential sites that we would move forward with. And maybe before I talk about that, I think it's safe to say, although we don't know exactly what the facilities will be, but there will be facilities at this interconnection. There will be vaults, meter vaults. There will be some sort of a building It won't be a huge building, but it will include pumps, controls, electrical systems. It'll be a moderate, small-sized pump station. How about that? And then obviously water infrastructure, water mains to connect, do an interconnection. So out of the 5 locations that we looked at, and we did a really quick look, as we talked about the last time, we are moving forward with hydraulic analysis on Union Street at Route 1. There's an existing, I think there's an existing interconnection there, Scott, right?
There is.
There are some potential locations, like if you look at it, there is some real estate there. I don't know, it looks like there's a lot of commercial property there. I don't know, and there is actually a site that the town owns, forgive me. So there is a potential location at Union Street, and then the other one is Mylod Street. Mylod Street is a nicer connection from Walpole's side. There's a 12-inch water main in Walpole, which means we can get water into Walpole easily. We have to build a new water main to do the connection to Norwood, and then we would need to build the facilities, and I think we're thinking somewhere near those ball fields.
Well,
Okay.
there's 11 acres there, so you probably could miss the soccer fields completely.
Perfect.
And the one question about that is the railroad tracks, the commuter rail runs right between Main Street, Route 1A, and where Mylard has the town property and the soccer fields.
That's on the Norwood side, right? of
So
the
I would
fields.
expect you'd be connecting to Norwood on the other side of the railroad tracks.
On the Walpole side, or, there's a water main across, you can see the water main on a little bridge there.
Right.
I don't know what size it is. We will find out. So Norwood is going to move forward with modeling those 2 locations. We've already reached out to Stantec, and they're preparing a proposal to do that work. And what that will tell us is, and we talked about this as well, I would envision Norwood is going to be looking for Walpole to do improvements on their on Norwood's system, whatever that looks like, and we will know that better after the modeling is done on the Norwood side.
So you may not be that familiar with that area, but just, it looks like the town line is where the Church of Living Waters is, so to speak, and the apartment complex there.
We're on Mylod Street right now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, before, after Mylod Street.
it's past
Mylod
the ball
Street is still
fields.
Walpole. And the land you're talking about is maybe a quarter of a mile around the corner. That's not a problem. The
Does the
pumping
town-
facilities don't have to be right on top of the
Yes.
point where the 2 towns, pipes go from one town to the other, in other words.
You're 100% correct. That is correct. Yep. And we would build the infrastructure to connect those 2 things.
John, does the town own that or the youth soccer program?
The town
Who
owns the
owns the
11
Mylard?
acres.
Okay.
The wooded, there's wooded property between where the soccer is and the railroad tracks.
Okay.
There's wooded property, the town owns that property. So, and that property is not in any wetlands, so that avoids a lot of the permitting issues with possibly conservation and maybe DEP.
Yeah, that's right. We looked at a bunch of different, a number of things, and environmental permitting was one of the considerations, but I also think that it might not be the highest consideration. You know, there might be other considerations that are higher. So that's where we are. So we are moving forward with the hydraulic modeling of those 2 locations. We'll know more from Norwood, and I think we should wait for the hydraulic analysis from Norwood before we move forward with a site, right? And then moving forward with that, whichever site we deem is the best, will include survey, design of those facilities, and then I think at that point you have a project to bring to the MWRA and say, this is what we want to do. Not, I think you've already reached out to them, WRI, don't get me wrong, but,
Don't they typically have, people always just say this with some facility, don't they have prototypical sets of plans for a pumping station or for, I mean, when you say design, what are you talking about?
Well, we need a
Plumbing design, water design, or are you talking about a building or facility or the?
yes, a building and a facility. The pumping systems are relatively straightforward.
Right.
The building and the permitting and the site work that goes into all of that and making that all work tends to take a longer time than the designing of the pumping systems, if that makes sense to you. So, go ahead.
Just a little question. Was the Rustic Road considered?
Rustic Road was not on my list of
Why?
things. Did you get the memo of the site considerations? Do I need to get that to you?
When?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
I think they were provided those,
Okay,
Yeah,
it was in
okay.
the memo?
yes.
Rustic Road might be a spot, I got that, I have it right here. Rustic Road might be a spot that you might want to consider, and you might want to talk to the Director of Public Works about that, yes. That gentleman sitting back there.
I do believe we looked at it, the infrastructure on the Norwood side was too small. Actually, on both sides it was too small.
But that may not be a consideration, the size of it, really, for what I'm thinking about.
No, I think I know where you're going.
Okay.
And it's all about infrastructure improvements and along with those, the associated costs of the infrastructure.
Okay, but that might be irrelevant.
Right, but
Oh,
by the same token, another
And-
thing is land acquisition for a pump station.
Well, I'm just thinking,
No, I understand what you're saying.
it should be considered in, you know, it should be something that we check out, make
I believe
sure.
we did look at it quickly,
Yeah,
and moved on to what we thought would be the most viable connection points.
since we're doing this now, we might as well, you know,
So,
do it all.
We can certainly revisit that. These two locations, I believe, are the best because of, once again, land acquisition. It takes that out of the equation, which can be very expensive.
Be $500,000.
And time-wise,
Yeah.
if you take it such a eminent
Maybe,
domain.
that's okay.
So, but it was looked at, Patrick. It wasn't looked at in great detail, but it was looked at.
And is there any, since we're going to provide the mitigating compensatory whatever on the Norwood side, so they probably don't care, right?
Quite honestly, what I, for one, am trying to avoid is doing a large amount of infrastructure in the town.
Exactly. Well, that's why I understand your thinking. Yeah, that's-
well, water main adds up really, really quickly. So, we could easily spend multi-millions of dollars upgrading Norwood system to give us, so that they have no impact of giving you 1 MGD of water. So that is the number one reason why we did that screening with Norwood and came up with what we did. So, and also we were gonna move swiftly, right? We didn't wanna overthink some of this and overanalyze. So we did due diligence and based off of the discussions with Norwood, because it's not just your system, it's their system too, those two sites look like they're the best.
They provided you the hydraulics already?
No, they are, so Norwood will hire their engineering consultant to do the hydraulic analysis. We gave Norwood, and Stantec is their consultant, so we gave them what analysis we want to have run in order to do the modeling. So that has been done.
There's an aqueduct that runs from Bellevue Hill to the town of Norwood that the Commonwealth paid for. How far does it go into Norwood?
I have looked at the MWRA maps, but I don't know what they are off the top of my head.
Because I'm thinking, you know, Walpole is part of the Commonwealth, has already paid for a lot of this, if, depending how far it went into Norwood. So that may be an aspect that we can look at to help us
The
with the wheeling.
The metered connections to Norwood are not geographically close to the Walpole line.
Yeah, that, I'm talking about the aqueduct. I don't know where it comes in and how far it goes in, but it's certainly, you know, that whole aqueduct was built, I don't think it was built just for Norwood.
I'll share the MWRA maps that we have with Rick and Scott so that you can at least have them and see where their meters are relative to these sites.
So did you, and I'm sure you have looked at this, I believe, Rick, that isn't there conservation land along the Union Street site?
There is. Union Street will require a lot of permits. Crackle Brook, wetlands,
So
no problem.
we're really not interested in getting a morass of conservation. We don't have to. If you find that the Mylar is clean as far as environmental and conservation, that would really be not just expeditious, but more economical for us. And I think the thing I like about it, I'm probably biased, but the fact that we have a nice chunk of land there to work with, you know, gives us flexibility to be smart.
So we agree, that is the preferred site. But on the other hand, it seemed appropriate to run the analysis on both sites, because from Norwood's perspective, my lot is a lot stronger connection for them, and it limits the amount of infrastructure you need to do on the Norwood side. That felt worth flushing out at this point.
Do we know when Stantec is going to do the work?
We don't even have a proposal from Stantec yet, so
Do we
I-
know when? I don't-
we'll bug them again this week. But I think 2 to 3 months is reasonable for that.
We had a memo, I don't know who, this is from Patrick, that Weymouth is progressing rapidly in their request to the MWRA. This came from Matt Romero, the new executive director of the MWRA. Just concerning anything that, you know, delays us, we'd really like to get something in front of the MWRA so that we have a slot or a position. And our superior town executives are asking a few questions, such as the time frame for the MWRA to stop accepting new connection applications. I was wondering if there's some way to get at an estimate of that. And I don't think they understand. It's really a 20 mg parameter, isn't it?
Oh, they have more than that to sell.
Or they
They're
do?
50.
Yeah, they have more than that.
Because that's what Bill and I got as feedback.
That they had 50.
Excuse me, 50, that's
Yes,
right,
not 20. 50
yeah,
million gallons a day is what's available for,
for others,
yeah.
or for their own members to apply to up.
No, they have 300 million gallons per day, of which roughly they're using 200. There's that 100 left. They're saying 50 of it we're going to save for existing communities that run the system, and 50 is available for new connection.
Okay. So that's a little bit easier than the 50, but it's still,
I think you have a clean application. I know it probably feels messy and long, but on the relative to all of the other messy and long projects, I think your project is, I think you're going to be at the table in plenty of time
Go ahead.
to get into that 50 MGD. You know, I think you all are very straightforward about wanting this, so it feels like we are going to be doing design of a facility at some point this winter, and at that point, the town of Walpole is going to be a very serious person at the table, showing them what you want, and I think at that point, the negotiations with MWRA will begin in earnest when you're moving forward through the process.
And what would be the catalyst point for that you're speaking of? What's the filing of what document or what?
Well, it's hard to go through the permitting if you don't have a project to permit, if that makes sense to you. So, you'll have a project to permit hopefully on my lot or Union Street. And at that point, you'll have plans and you will start going through local permitting, you'll start going through the MIPA permitting and the ENF, and you'll be going through some of those comment periods. So everyone is going to know your intentions. Right now, you're just one of 60, right? Like there's 60 people or whatever that are looking for more water. So at some point, you will become a very real customer.
And what kind of a calendar date are you thinking about for that?
So we gave you a schedule. I know
Very small. Next time.
Yeah,
just make it so we can read it.
Hold it up.
It's color coded too, in black and white. I love it.
Sorry. So is it on an 8.5 by 11 for you all? Is that?
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah, I have the 11 by 17. So, so we have designing, in the fall of a project.
The end of June, make submission to MWRA. What is that?
Well, you all have told MWRA that you want this. So I think it makes sense, after we know where we're going, I think it makes sense to reach out to them again. And so the intention, every time they talk to you, it will be the same story, which is helpful because it's not that way for a lot of communities. A lot of communities aren't 100% sure how things are going to move forward. So,
I have a question. The Norwood hydraulic analysis, we're going to look at the both, looks like 2 to 3 months, and then it says MWA hydraulic analysis. Is appropriate to start that at the point once you've said, yes, it's my lot, we've looked at both, or it's Union, or so I'm not sure what are we doing an analysis of certainly not the entire MWA system, I assume.
I'm pretty sure MWRA will model their system to make sure that they can give you 1 MGD. That's my experience. That's what we've seen
So
before.
do we have to request that for them?
Yes.
Could they be doing that now?
They probably could, and I think that's a good thought. We probably can put those things on a parallel track
Right.
to some extent. But I certainly think we should get started with
Well, I
Norwood
agree on
first.
that.
Yeah.
But it would seem, and I may be totally wrong, since it's going through Norwood, it would be a question of MWA, could you send another 1 million gallons into Norwood? We don't care what happens to it after that.
Right.
And like I said, it may be wrong, but it doesn't seem there's a direct connection of whether we're at Union or my lot. It's MWA, can you give Norwood another 1 million? What they do with it, we don't care. I mean, we would know why, but it would not seem that there would be a hydraulic connection. And maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, it's a good idea, Bill. I mean, we do want to expedite, and even on the Norwood side, just politely asking how you name their consultant, but are you working directly with the consultant? Are you working with the town engineer or someone in Norwood specifically?
So we met with both when we met with them. So we would go through the town engineer.
Okay. And if you're wondering when can he get, if Walpole is anxious to be moving forward, when can he get results from his consultant? I mean, is that something we can start to ask about, or?
Yeah, you're
Was it
asking
Mark
if
Ryan?
you all can inquire. I think let's get through Stantec giving Norwood a proposal, and I mean, I have to think about that. Is Stantec sending Norwood a proposal, or is Stantec sending Walpole a proposal? So that needs to get ironed out. So let us iron out those details first. Either way, I believe Walpole will be paying for that work.
Is that the thing that you said 2 to 3 months is reasonable?
Yeah.
That Stantec would come back and say, it's X number of dollars, and it'll take us 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, or whatever to do?
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
On the third part, Walpole's hydraulic analysis, Rick, Scott, doesn't Wright Pierce have a model of our system, and can they model, do this at the same time also? Or there was really only 2 locations, and pretty much I would assume we'll narrow it down to, it sounds like Mylod, unless we're surprised.
Yeah, that is in here, and I think it's something for us to talk about. I struggle a little bit with the urgency of that modeling, if that makes sense. Like, my lot has a 12-inch water main on it, so if we connected to Norwood, it can handle 1 MGD.
Right.
But that isn't to say that you aren't going to have issues in your distribution system. So yes, we could move forward with that. That one doesn't feel as critical on the timeline to me because it's your consultant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, but it seems to me that we have some control over that, and is it another thing that could be done at the same sort of parallel track there?
Yeah, we'd have a conversation about whether you think it's necessary. I think that would be the next conversation to have.
And if it is, then that's one way. If it says, no, that's not going to do anything, well, we can say, done.
Yeah, and we can talk to Scott and Rick about that.
Yeah.
Somebody can get us, actually, the selectmen would like a more detailed Gantt chart with more, these broken out a little bit more, like Bill is drilling down into a couple of them. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I think the idea, when you say you think it's almost 3/4 of a year to go through MIPA?
That's the minimum. Yep. That's if everything goes great.
What does MIPA need to start their work? Just trying to think of, and I'm thinking the Water Resources Commission has to play a role. If I'm looking at the operation policy number 10.
Well, one of the things they're gonna need is a project.
Right.
So, which we're not gonna have until we have a site and we do a design.
Okay. They need
So-
to know that the design of a pump station and a build, so that they would need to actually know that it's not something, yes, we're going to do that, we're drawing it, but it's at this location, whatever. Could they start, or do we have to actually have it, blueprints ready to, actually construct the thing? We wouldn't construct it, I assume, until we get the okay. It just seemed like if the inter-basin transfer stuff, which it seemed that that's what the Water Resource Commission would be playing a role in. Can they start, or I guess I'm trying to think of, is there many things that we can move that don't depend on something else? And
I don't think there's a ton of things that you can move that don't
All right,
depend on something else, but we'll keep working at it,
Yeah.
because I know you all are anxious. But, the permitting process needs to have blueprints. It needs to have documents that accompany it, and there's written reports. And I would have to, I'm going to get a little out of my turf with regards to the permitting stuff, because we have permitting people. So why don't I leave it as, I'll talk with them, and we'll keep in contact with them and see how much of this stuff we can put on a parallel path. But it also is just, until we have a site, we are just kind of talking right now, right? So I think we need to keep moving towards that.
Before you go, for me and for the people at home, if the whole project is 100%, currently, where are we along that 100% line?
5%.
Thank you. Okay.
So, will we get a little more detail and maybe a bigger chart here and maybe some tweaking up of these dates when you get a chance?
Yes?
We are anxious and concerned. Anything along the lines of, like, we talk about the site drawings for the building department, that type of thing. I don't know if you got a layout of what the pad's gonna look like. I don't want to wait for an architect to design some beautiful building. We have sheds from Jarvis Farm. We might be able to put those together. But anything you can
Maybe
think
2 or
of
3 pieces.
to help us, and now we have, the selectmen are very anxious about this also. So they're going to be looking for feedback and dates and what to expect. So what do we think? We think that according to what you told us, that sometime this summer we'll be able to tell the MWA what's going on?
I think so, yes. I mean, we're going to keep telling the MWRA what's going on. And as we move through this process, we're going to get more and more solid about what we're asking, where we're doing it, and we're going to start getting our permitting in order. And at some point, you're going to be ready to go and build something.
As far as the site decision, I mean, what are the, other than you wanting to do 2 analyses, I mean, just looking at Scott and Rick here, and I think from their point of view, I don't think, do you guys have any particular amenity for the Union Street site? Is there something there that you want further investigated?
Other than there's already an existing connection, may make the infrastructure a little bit easier, but beyond that, really, no. I don't have a preference beyond that.
Can we get maybe make a decision tonight to go at the Mylar, just so we save a month or 2?
Well, we just need to make sure hydraulically that it'll work. So,
Maybe we can decide that if hydraulically, if Mylar works, that's going to be our choice, primarily because of the permitting. The conservation can be, even locally, can be rural.
yeah, I guess hydraulically, we could probably, correct me if I'm wrong, we could make anything work with pump stations and infrastructure improvements.
The railroad crossing is concerning, right? Like your,
It already crosses though. What's the concern?
what if it's not big enough?
It's 12 inch.
It's a 12-inch across the railroad? Norwood's Main.
I don't know.
No, it's
Oh.
Walpole.
Oh, okay.
Ours is a 12.
We go across the railroad tracks. It's a
Okay.
12
And
inch.
we go up Main till the Church of the Living Waters or whatever approximately. And that's where the connection to Norwood is. And you said that's an 8-inch.
So it feels to me, if the Union Street connection is a couple of $1 million less improvements that Walpole needs to pay for a month of time, that feels to me like it's worth doing. Does that?
Say that one more time.
Yes, I was gonna
I'll say it
ask.
again. If the Union Street connection is stronger on the Norwood side, and it's much stronger than Mylod, in the Mylod, if we build a pump station on Mylod Street and an interconnection there, you have to do millions of dollars worth of improvements versus Union Street being something less. So I guess what I'm saying is, at the risk of having millions of dollars of infrastructure at stake, it feels like we ought to be looking at two different connections.
Wouldn't Stantec be doing an analysis on both at the same time?
I agree. I do not
So,
think it's that big
yeah,
a savings
No, I
to
would
do
think
one
that they
versus
will
two.
have an answer, and it would be not much more quicker to do both as opposed to do one. It might be like a week's difference.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I'm not making a decision.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile, have Stantec do both the Union and the Mylod, and then we'll, as you say, we'll know. There may be something hidden on the Norwood side that, that
Right.
is a surprise to us, and same with Mylod. So I'd say let them go ahead and do that. So, I have did one question. The last time you were here, I walked away with the impression that the MWA would be more interested in things like Holliston, or I think it's either out of Hopkinton or Weymouth, where I got 50 million that I intend to sell, and they basically had to sell to the board of directors. Here's a reason that it's a good idea, and don't charge an entrance fee. That it's an easier to do that by saying, hey, we got somebody who's gonna take 10 million of that, as opposed to, I need 50 groups who want 1 million, as opposed to, dealing with big chunks. But now, I'm getting the impression from you that maybe the others have a lot more problems than we do, and that maybe our chances are better than I walked away the last time.
Well, my concern is not about the volume that you're asking for.
Right.
Okay, so my concern continues to be around how much of that 1 million gallons a day the town is going to actually purchase from Norwood and from the MWRA. So if the MWRA is waiving their entrance fee, that means, and they're doing that across the state because they want to sell water.
Right.
So if you are going to tie up 1 million gallons a day of that 50 million gallons, and you're not going to buy the water from them, that is my concern. So we need to, I would imagine that we are going to need to work through that at some point. And you all have been very consistent about wanting this interconnection. So I would imagine that we could have a conversation about how much of it you're going to use, and what kind of commitment you're going to make to the MWRA and Norwood and all of that. But that also feels like 6 steps down the line.
Well, now I'm feeling less confident.
But do you understand
understand
what
the
I'm
reason.
saying?
Sounds like we need to commit to
Well, you don't need to
purchasing.
do any, you're committing right now.
No,
You
no,
all
not
want an
right now, but
interconnection.
Because when you look at and when I looked at what was presented to the MWA Board of Directors back in September, they talked about, here's the changes to the operations policy number 10. And it lists a few things, you gotta get the governor, the state legislature, and a lot of them are the town meeting and whatever. One is that the town is expected, or community is expected to use all of their local sources, and it makes sense. And that's,
But there's contradictions in that, right? Because they want you to use all your local sources, but you can't abandon any local sources, right? So, I think everyone is figuring this out. I
well,
don't,
that's what I'm hearing, like, that it's either Holliston or Hopkinton. Oh, they're just doing away with this system. I believe Weymouth would like to do away with what they, and that seems totally contradiction of what's in policy number 10. You can't abandon.
correct.
So it seems,
But on the other hand, they're going to be buying 1.5 million
Right.
gallons a day from the MWR, and they're going to be a customer. So
Right.
it is a little, that is a opposite, that is a little different than where Walpole is right now.
Right.
Well, it seems other towns have done it. Westwood committed to 1.55 million gallons a day.
You're right.
And they're
It's a
using
much
it for
smaller town than
dilution.
Walpole.
You're
So,
right.
I mean, we can be nervous nillies, but we're going to the bargaining table. I wanted to get this,
Yep.
get the opportunity in our hands, then we'll make the hard decision about what we can give and pay and take to make it successful for the town. We're not gonna worry about that now.
I think that's
Before
smart.
we get there.
I
We're gonna
agree.
get the paperwork, the plans, the permits, and get to the table.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. It just, like I said, you know, I came away the first time meeting thinking, oh, boy, this is not, now I'm having a more positive feeling about.
Yeah,
our-
we
our
have plenty of
opportunity.
ways to ratchet down. With the challenges of PFAS, we may have to scale back on certain production anyway.
Right.
And then we've got the reductions in withdrawal permits from the DEP. And these
you're
other
right
scenarios.
with the PFAS issue, as I read what the Water Resource Commission's report for Burlington and Ashland, it was, oh, one of the things is you could spend a lot of money building a treatment plant. We say, don't bother, get it from, you know, the MWRA.
If we commit to purchasing 1 million gallons a day from the MWRA, we'll have no problem scaling.
Thank you, yeah. That's
No,
what
I
feel,
don't
yeah.
doubt that we would have the
That's good.
problems.
Thank you for that, Rick. That's, we just have to stop, we're gonna worry
No,
ourselves
I-
out. That's, we've gotta go here and get the opportunity. That's
I
how we're
agree,
doing.
and I'm not
then-
suggesting
then
we
the big-
stop. I'm not suggesting we stop.
The naysayers can then argue their case, but that's, you're taking us to the promised land, get us to the table. That's-
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna get the Gantt chart fixed.
We're going to fix your schedule.
Thank you.
I'm going to send you a scan of the MWRA system in Norwood, so you have it in the location of their meters. We're going to give you some more granular detail on your schedule, blow it up, and we're going to keep talking about doing things on a parallel track.
And how often can
The
we
hydraulic
expect-
analysis particularly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The hydraulic analysis
All
in
three, yeah.
particular, and the permitting.
yeah.
And how often can we expect to see you?
Do you think it's helpful?
Very.
Yeah,
Keep us
I
posted.
mean, yeah, quite interested, as you can
Yeah,
tell.
you seem interested. So,
But we don't wanna
I
inundate
think
this.
more
Don't
than
wanna add too
see-
much cost.
Once a month?
Once a month, or, you know, when we get a major milestone.
Yeah.
Either one, you know, whatever you
so
feel.
how about at least every other month, unless or as
Come
needed?
on. There we go. Once a month. Let's start till we get going.
Fine.
Just want to keep it,
Happy to.
communications, and make sure once we start, the ball's rolling down the hill, then we don't have to meet so often. We can communicate through documents and whatever. Okay,
Appreciate
Lena.
Good for
Thank
now?
you. Yes.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So is there anything else
Yes, there is. We have,
that's on the agenda? Trying to say?
well, a couple of things we left off the agenda.
We needed to cash, we haven't done.
Needed to cash.
You have a report in here.
Yes, we need a soft copy before the rate hearing, if you can send us to the board, so that we can
And-
at least prepare for the rate.
When's the rate here?
June 12th, I think.
Is it? It's the next
Yes.
meeting?
That is the next meeting, yes.
Where are we FinCom, or here, or what?
June
We did,
12th.
yeah, we did it here last year, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it was at town hall.
In the town.
Was it?
Main.
Selectmen's room, I believe.
Oh, right. it was at the
Are we gonna have a lot of
selectmen's
interest?
Probably not that, I don't know. Probably not as much, but.
room. Well, have we?
Don't say anything crazy.
June 12th is the rate setting hearing.
Yeah, we haven't advertised that, have we?
No,
Oh,
We gotta get that.
We have to know where we're going to,
right.
I need to see your fire line thing.
my what,
Your
who?
fire line fees.
Oh, yeah.
When you get a chance, give me an email, will you?
Did we do 1, 1.5, 2, or did we do small, medium, large?
We did, we decided that small, medium, and large was the best approach. It also is easier for actually doing the process.
And we netted just about the 80 grand, right?
Actually, just slightly more than,
Okay.
well, it was, I think it was 50, no, it was 50,000, because it was, we thought 1,000 customers at,
Okay.
Who's
And-
we?
We
Yes.
talked about this.
we talked
Yeah,
about
we
this.
didn't talk much about this. We didn't make
So,
any
yes, the
determinations.
fire lines,
No.
the small, medium, large, yeah.
Okay, we won't discuss this now, but we
No.
need to know more specifics,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
You'll send me something,
I
right?
will. I'll put it on the agenda and send it so it'll be in our package.
Okay,
No, I'd like to see it before the rate hearing.
Oh, okay. I will
Yeah.
send you a copy, a
Thank you.
special copy for you.
Thank you. That'd be nice.
all right, moving right along.
What I was talking about Pradeep and is, you had other, in your report that you sent us, right?
Yeah.
You had some other things that we should discuss.
No, just I think the main idea was to talk about it first before we vote. So as you said, we don't need to vote, but the main thing is the cost of the e-checks. I think we are some of the town which are still charging people for payment, electronic payments. So we should eliminate that so that the paper bill can reduce. We can have more electronic payments that will help us in reducing the meter lag times. So that was the one of the option. Norwood already has that thing option, like they don't charge anything for check payments. So we should look into the basically eliminating the e-check payments for the the one other thing was the converting 90 days block rate to 30 days block rate without changing rate. It's just a technicality, whether you call it a 30-day or a 90-day block rate. I think the metering system are calculating the rates as we, for 92 days, 93 days. The impact is not that much differentiator because our most of the impact is weather related, not with the rate related, not with the block related. So that was two suggestions. I think we can take that as you suggested that the finance committee.
So I'm thinking this should be part of the rate hearing?
Yes.
About the reduction of the, is
No,
that?
it's gonna be part of the discussion we're gonna have with Jody,
Yeah, the workshop.
the finance director.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we have to
Well-
make a ruling on this eventually.
well,
Well,
in
if
terms
it
of
doesn't-
discussion with Jody, then we should probably have this prior to our next meeting, which is June 12th, so, and I think it's important.
What a wonderful idea.
Yes,
All
so,
right.
and I think all the things that you bring up, pretty, we need to have the discussion when we have the other half at the same table. I mean, we can take our own thoughts and then be totally turned around or be surprised,
So what's your motion?
Well,
I won't be in attendance for June 12th.
Well, I was thinking that maybe we need to meet prior to that,
What date?
prior to the rate hearing.
All right, what date?
Well, the next meeting, I guess if the 12th is on Monday, then 7 days back would be June 5th.
June 5th.
I think we can see if that works for Scott,
Sure.
if he could find out from
Right.
the finance folks, if that's appropriate.
Be interesting to find out.
Is that a motion?
Well, I don't know, you want to have a motion to see if...
Well, no, if you're gonna have a motion, you're gonna you're gonna add a meeting date in here. Do you really wanna do that? That's what I'm asking you.
I don't have any objection and think...
No,
that
no.
the sooner that
Do
we...
you want to make a motion that June 5th will be our next meeting date?
Can everybody meet June 5th?
I can't commit to anything.
Well,
Springtime's
I
tough,
can make
guys.
it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have my schedule in front of me, but I think I can make it. I mean, the other thing
Okay,
is.
so you get
is-
4 members that can make the meeting.
And the other part is Jody and whoever she wished to bring, make it. And that's why I would find, Scott, can you find out
Yes.
if this works? And we'd go from there.
I'd be, one thing, pretty, but if you get the information, Nora, it'd be interesting to know, usually when you automate and go to more, I don't know, digital type of system, the savings, part of the savings are in the manpower, reducing manpower, but be interested to know if Norwood, if they saved any positions, because I keep hearing that we're gonna need more positions. So I wonder how it affects manpower over there.
So I believe Norwood has 12 people in their building function. We have 3.
Yeah, well, we could find out.
Yes, so the question of manpower will be based on the billing system. Like, are we keeping the same vendor? Are we coming with a new vendor? Because let's say a vendor which we are using now, they have a system which says that, okay, take this file, upload it here, then hand it to this person. All those are manual steps. So that process will still need those number of people because those are by roles. But if as of today the technology is so advanced, you don't need so many roles. So if you change the vendor, you say that, okay, we are looking for some upgrades also. The billing system should be this. So they can upgrade and they can basically reduce the manual task. They can reduce the human task. What it doesn't mean is that you don't need a customer support people. You still need customer support people. You may not be a billing people, but you still need a customer support. So you are enhancing the billing, but you're still keeping the customer support people to handle any other issues. So that's the main.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right, so we're gonna vote on that on the
He
meeting.
didn't make a motion yet.
Oh,
I make a motion that, Scott, you check to see if we can have a meeting on Monday, June 5th.
So you're making a motion for Scott to do something, okay?
Yeah,
To doing,
I mean, it's.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I don't,
just curious.
we could say we're gonna hold the meeting, only to find out that the important parties
always
can't
cancel
make
But
it.
then we cancel it.
Yeah,
Scott can
so
always
that's
cancel.
fine.
There's good reason.
Just has to be posted, but before you post it, we might as well find out, is there gonna be a reason to have the meeting? If it turns out that, no, the finance folks then don't have the meeting. You know, if you don't have half the information, it's pointless
And
to have
then
the
how are
meeting.
you gonna have a vote?
Why don't you make the motion, because whatever I say is we're not communicating right.
Is there any way we could do the rate hearing on the 26th,
Of what?
June?
The only problem is that
And keep the June 12th for the meeting with Jody?
we could do that. You're really cutting, remember, the fiscal year
I know
starts
fiscal year is
July.
July 1,
Yeah,
but
I won't be here.
All right, there's a reason why we
You can hold a
can't.
rate hearing anytime you want.
You can, right.
You can do it in June.
we can't do it Monday, June 19th, because it's the holiday, so.
All right, I'm gonna move that we schedule a meeting for June 5th.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? 500. Okay. All right, let's see. We do have a new business item here.
He looks
For some reason-
familiar.
Yes. We call, he's a candidate, he's running for Sewer and Water Commission. So,
He could be sitting right
Mr.
here.
Mr. Applebee's is here.
I called him Mr. Appleby. I always forget his name. But we know who he is.
Friendly Dave.
Just to remind the chairman, this wasn't on the agenda, so you can discuss it, but you cannot make any rules.
Right, and I would just, we did vote to have this on the agenda, but for some reason it didn't get on. there.
Yeah, we did have
No
him.
problem.
I don't know, I'm just saying.
Why is, oh, that's a question. Why isn't he on
I
the
don't know.
agenda?
just-
I don't believe there was a vote taken to have them here.
There was a comment made that
Right.
he may be coming forward with new information.
I think the chair had said he would reach out to him because there's other information, but there was no vote taken.
I thought I asked for a vote. Stand corrected, Scott.
Yeah.
No criticisms.
That's
You're here. Wonderful.
Did you get, oh,
So, for the record, I'm David Beluga, Optima Hospitality. You've seen me before. We spent a long time together. I actually was looking at my own records. I started on this project in 2008.
Okay.
I wanted to be alone. So, the reason for the meeting, and I came this evening because you had an opening, cancellation and an opening, and I was preparing to request to be on the agenda for June 12th, so the fact that you can't vote tonight is not a problem for me. As you can see on the front plan, as you know, the hotel itself died. This was what we came to agreement on 2018, 2019, and we had water and sewer deal. We were going to pay you all kinds of money, and this was going to work. We had an issue with the ZBA. We didn't get a variance that were required. In redoing the plan, COVID hit and the whole thing fell apart. Although it was shovel-ready. Got all the final permits in Walpole, got all the final permits in Sharon, and the financing fell apart. And so, and I did start on this project actually in the year 2000, working with Phil Mackey Sr. when the land in Sharon was not zoned for a hotel and the land in Walpole was. And we got Sharon Town Meeting to put the hotel in, and then Phil and I negotiated with Walpole for water and sewer. If half the hotel was in Walpole, half in Sharon, we created a plan that worked. But that was when the ground was there. And when they tore the ground down, they put the Applebee's in a different place, and that plan didn't work anymore. So it led to all the things that led to where we are tonight. That fell apart. With me is Nadine Bailey, attorney with Mackey and Mackey. He couldn't make it, and Nadine recovered. And on the phone in the back is George Lang, who's the developer. So what we're doing is a warehouse. George is moving his offices from Braintree to here, and then we have a retail cannabis dispensary. The warehouse is just a warehouse at this point. This is office space. It is zoned appropriately before the ZBA in Sharon. We have the hosted community agreement in place. The town has accepted it, in fact is supporting it, and so this is the redone plan. Because of the zoning issue, it's entirely in Sharon, since Walpole doesn't permit cannabis. Everything worked. We don't need sewer, as we did with the hotel, because it's basically 6 toilets. So we have an approved septic system here, tank, all works, and the Board of Health in Sharon is happy with that. We obviously don't have water. We came to you last November asking for water in 2 places. One was for fire line, one was for domestic. I said then, I'll repeat now, that if you don't want to sell us the domestic, we'll drill a well. Again, it's the equivalent of water for like a 5-bedroom house. It's less than 600 gallons a day, based on Title V numbers. However, for sprinklers, you can't drill a well. And so we're looking for a fire line to cross the town line. Just for purposes of clarification, we have a hydrant on the property in front of the Applebee's. There's an 8-inch main that goes to within 15 feet of the town line, so it's not a tap out in the street. We can extend the main. And originally, if you remember the hotel, we had the hydrant over here, and you said you want the hydrant to be in Walpole, so we moved the hydrant to the Walpole side of the town line, and it can stay that way. We've satisfied the fire department. The hook and ladder turning template works, so the fire departments are okay. There's a gravel road around the building so they can get around for fire purposes. Conservation Commission has given us a new order of conditions for both Walpole and Sharon that approved this plan from a conservation standpoint. And so the only thing we need is a fire line connection. We're not going to be using any water unless the building burns. So we're not buying water, we're not using water, but there will be fees, we understand. Our AVA Sprinklers, who is actually based in Walpole, who does all of Georgia's sprinkler work across the state, gave me some background as to what other towns might charge for a connection, but it's entirely up to you. Brockton charges $300 to $400 a year for the privilege of connecting. The most expensive one in the area right now is Taunton, which charges about $1,700 a year for the privilege of connecting. You give us a number that's acceptable to you, and this is the last piece of the puzzle. Have us go forward with the building. And we're not buying water, we're not using water, it's just a fire line. In the package that you have, when we met last, you asked for letters from the fire chiefs. The next page is the letter I sent to both Chief Bailey here in Walpole and Chief Wright and Sharon, who has since retired. I never got a response from Chief Bailey, except that he said he couldn't write a letter. And you have on the third or fourth page the November 10th letter from Chief Wright, who has since retired. And then the next page, you have a letter dated yesterday from Chief Madden, and he's requesting that connection to meet the state codes and basically for the safety of the building. And I think, as I said last time, because of its location, it'll be Walpole and Sharon firefighters if there were a major event here, because they have mutual aid, they cover each other. So it's a public safety issue. Nothing else involved.
Who was Chief Madden?
Chief Madden replaced, he was the deputy chief last year.
Yeah.
Chief Wright retired. Chief Madden is now the fire chief in Sharon. I think he got installed about 4 or 5 months ago. So you have requests from 2 Sharon fire chiefs. I did reach out to Chief Bailey yesterday and didn't get a response. I reached out again this morning. Again, I was set for the 12th, and when the opening came up, I've been scrambling to get things ready for you all. The page after the Chief Madden letter is a handwritten letter that I wrote to Chief Bailey when I delivered this very same package to the station this morning. So I haven't heard back from him either. But our sprinkler guy says the state fire marshal, requires these kinds of things to happen. But they don't have jurisdiction. And it's just a public safety issue. There's nothing else involved.
Maybe I'm not, the fire hydrant is already there, or it's on a plan?
The existing fire hydrant, which is in front of Applebee's,
Okay,
the second hydrant is planned.
okay.
And in the original hotel, in the package, a small plan that shows the existing conditions, that's the plan that was signed by the Walpole and Sharon planning boards for the hotel. And they show this same thing. So this one is there right now. This one is where it was for the hotel. The chief may want to move it. The chief may want to move it over here for some reason, but it'll be in Walpole. All right.
And it's within so many feet of the actual line that's actually there?
This one is almost touching, the water line itself is within 15 feet. We'll put the actual, this is the proposed hydrant, we'll put it where the chief tells us he wants it.
Realistically, if there was a fire there and Walpole came and joined services with Sharon,
Yeah,
Walpole would probably hook up to the first fire hydrant.
this one?
Yeah. I mean, if the other one wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's,
We said the same thing with both Sharon Chiefs. That's a long run for a hose. You know, that's a big problem. And plus, if you hooked up and this building wasn't sprinkled, it would be a very dangerous situation. And this is just a dry warehouse at this point. There's nothing going on inside. It'll be out for lease. Don't know what the tenant's going to be at this point. And if they have any special needs, they'll have to come back for their own permits.
and there's no joint connection between the Applebee's and that building and the other one. They're totally separate.
Where this water line comes, there's a T right here that goes into the Applebee's.
No, I'm talking about the physical building, not the water line.
Oh, no,
Two
no,
buildings
no.
aren't connected at
No,
all.
no, here's the town line, this is the corner of the building. No,
Right.
there's no new, if there is new parking lot construction, things like the curb cuts that are here and here are the same as they were for the hotel. We've added some drainage here to receive the parking lot drainage to the existing, you can't see it, it's ghosted. The existing drainage for the Applebee's is here, this is the additional drainage. What's interesting from a water standpoint is we had to compare for the Conservation Commission the volumes of water, and there's clearly more parking and less roof, or more roof and less pavement here than there was with the hotel. So there's more clean water going into the system. Everything relative to the Conservation Commission's work, everything stayed exactly the same as the hotel. And again, we have modified those conditions from both towns. So just ask you to let us connect.
David, good evening.
Good evening.
Walpole has spent untold millions of dollars on our infrastructure to generate an industrial water supply for our town. Now you want to tap into this infrastructure, is that correct?
We don't want to use your water.
You want, I didn't say that, I said you want to tap into it,
Sure.
yes. In case your building starts to burn down, you'll have a way to stop it, right?
Correct.
And your insurance company wants that too, probably, if you have a mortgage on this or something.
Well, we couldn't get a building permit if we didn't have sprinklers.
So that's great for you, but how does giving you a water connection, help our town?
We'll pay you for it.
How much?
You're not using any water.
No, I understand
understand
that,
that.
but there's a huge potential to use it.
No.
Yes,
We'll have our
it's
own
sitting up there in
outfit.
our tank, right? You can see the tank. You have the potential to use that water for fire suppression.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Correct.
Okay.
So I told you what other towns charge. All
Yeah.
right? I know that it'll be much more than that, and that's fine. I also know that these pipes are unmetered. There's normally not a meter for fire suppression. All right? If you want, we'll put a meter on, and if we use it, we'll pay for it. We'll pay the outside of town rate.
Also, you
Yeah.
still haven't answered how it's going to help us, besides saying you're going to pay something. Here's the secondary piece of this.
Yeah.
Town meeting has told us, do not have any out-of-town connections. That's what town meeting voted. How do we're elected officials, how do we get by giving you town water or a connection? And there's no benefit to the town.
It's a public safety. It's a benefit to your firefighters if they go there.
This is in the town of Sharon.
Walpole would be the first to
Walpole would
respond
be
to
the
this.
first responders.
Yeah.
Get closer.
Okay, and they can take the water from the hydrants.
That would be very dangerous. Kevin,
Why- they do it all the time.
If the 22,000-foot building is burning, running a hydrant from here with hoses to here and getting them inside a building that has no sprinklers.
The
that's-
requirement is a
You're
wet
talking about-
system, period.
Yeah, the
That's-
requirement, we can't even use a chemical system, we have to use a wet system.
So I think the key here is if there's no sprinkler system, there's no building.
Basically.
Okay, and if there's no sprinkler system, no building, why do we care?
No, we have.
Why would we go against town meeting to give you water connection?
Because it's a common sense thing to do, it's for public safety.
It doesn't make sense to me at all.
No, it might have been a sense of, but,
There's never been a vote at town meeting. There's been discussion about selling water outside of the town, but like Southwood, that,
I just, what I'm missing is, what is the benefit of Walpole to having this warehouse in Sharon?
we get the entrance fee and $500 for
Yeah.
fire suppression system.
I mean, Sharon gets
Yeah, I
all the
mean,
benefit. I don't see
They get the
any-
tax revenue, they get
and-
everything.
Well,
And
actually,
whether there
the
was,
Applebee's is very excited about it.
well, whether there was a vote at town meeting or not, certainly the sentiment was we don't want to using water. And at the same time, we're also asking MWA, we'd like to have water, you know, and sort of implying that we need their water. And here we're giving potentially, and I understand you're not using water only if the building burns.
Correct.
I'm still saying, what does the town get other than maybe a yearly, you know, few $100s? And then my other concern is to say, well, it'll put out police, and if, you know, maybe it's just a warehouse of rubber boots, never will cause any problems, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they decide, oh, we want to do something else, and they'll have to get, you know, the necessary permits. They'll be going to Sharon, and they change the whole thing to something, we go, we don't want that there. And there'd be nothing that Walpole would benefit. We don't know what's going to be there in the future, other than potentially right now, it's nothing that you should be concerned about. I don't see the
It's like any
benefit.
other warehouse up in there Route 1.
Yeah, except for if it changes the use changes.
Yeah.
And that's a possibility. I mean, you don't even have a tenant right now, right?
We have tenants for the retail and the office, not for the warehouse.
What, for the warehouse,
Yeah.
right. And you need us for the warehouse. You don't need us for an office out front.
No.
I mean, nobody's asking for a sprinkler for, you know, the little small
No,
building.
no, less than 10,000 feet.
Yeah, so I don't see that what the benefit that Walpole, and I see an exposure of one, it's something that the town, again, whether there was a town meeting vote or whatever, the sentiment was, don't. You shouldn't be doing that. And I can say that we could say, yeah, but we found a reason that it makes sense to do it. But I still don't know what's the benefit, other than a potential yearly, you know, few $100s for having it. And with the potential that we don't know down the road what that could be. And I could see Sharon saying, hey, it's nowhere near the residents in Sharon. Put whatever, you know, awful thing that they would say, no, I don't want that near my, you know, in my backyard. All it is, it's in Walpole's backyard.
Well, first of all, it's not anybody's backyard in Walpole either. It's on 95, there are no houses anywhere near it.
You're right, there isn't.
There's a state DPW yard
Yeah.
on one side, there's 95 on the other side.
Well, in the end-
Gigantic wetlands
Yeah.
on the other side. There's
At
no
this-
one there.
At the end, it still comes down, I don't see a benefit to Walpole.
All right, can I respond?
If there's no building, there's no different than what we have, and I don't see us getting a benefit to having that warehouse building.
So, I've been doing this is for me, myself, I've been with this consultant since 1971, all right? And this is the first time I've seen a town not want to help another town on a public safety issue. I've never seen it before. There are intermunicipal agreements between towns all the time
Right.
where they help each other, and there's no benefit to one town versus the other. I'm willing, you know, if Tom Tate charges $700, you want $5 grand, pay you $5. I mean, the issue is public safety. It's not what's in it for me.
I agree
And
that,
it's your firefighters as well as our firefighters who'll be in
but
there.
if we said, now we don't want to do that. There is no
The
danger to the
argument is,
Walpole.
there's no building, there's no public safety issue.
That's right.
Oh, well, I can put 4 9,000-foot buildings, if
Yeah.
that's what you want.
Yeah.
We're gonna be hard pressed to justify providing water to a
You're not
project.
providing water.
The property tax is going to go to Sharon.
Of course.
If they change the, whatever, they knock the thing down and make it something other, some other type of,
Yeah.
again, Walpole won't have a,
Let me interrupt you, okay? I spent 5 years and $500,000 of my money to
Right.
do exactly what the town of Walpole wanted. Never argued about
Right.
price. I did the hotel. It wasn't my fault, it wasn't your fault.
right,
Okay?
right.
But I did everything I could to max, and Sharon did what it could. It didn't have to. Sharon gave up the room tax to Walpole.
I
No,
understand.
you never did that.
They did that.
No, according to the town administrator, that was my idea, by the way, and it was shot
Fred
down.
Turkington gave the room tax. I'm sorry, I have the record.
Well, they never told me they decided to
They may
change
not
their
have told
mind.
you, but I know because.
But they thought it was crazy
And we
that.
voted okay,
Yeah.
because there was we saw that there was a benefit to the town of Walpole. And I just don't see a benefit that having that warehouse building, and if it's not there, our firefighters, nobody is
There'll be
in
something
danger.
else there.
Well, and they potentially will need water. Again, let's say you want to build, a hotel on that same footprint.
I can't, not without your water.
Exactly. And then my same question would come,
Yeah,
what benefit does that to Walpole that there's now a hotel there?
I can't do the hotel without your water.
Exactly. But I say, again, why would we gave you the water? We're not going to get the property tax.
We did all that, and you got the benefit
Yeah,
of it.
because the hotel was half in Walpole, and there was an agreement where it made some sense that I said, okay, we're getting something from this. And we're going to get half the room tax or all of it,
You
or,
got all of them.
yeah, well, certainly we're going to get the property tax for the portion that was in Walpole.
Yeah.
There was definite benefits. I just don't see the way this is, that there is any benefit to Walpole.
Well, you can ask the manager at Applebee's, who's thrilled to see this coming because his business will increase significantly. You get the liquor tax, you get the meals tax, which I forget how many thousands of dollars that was. There's a benefit to Walpole.
How does a warehouse generate that?
No, retail. Here. And the people working there. That's not me, it's the manager of Applebee's who's telling me. I didn't make that up.
How many people are gonna work there? What are these retail stores?
It was going to be a cannabis.
Cannabis dispensary.
Dispensary.
I can't.
And that's turning out not to be as.
And right on the Walpole line,
for
that's a great
those-
place to put it.
It's zoned for it.
Yeah, okay.
It's zoned for it. The town of Sharon decided it was
Yeah,
the
I'll just
second
check,
one in
that's good,
Sharon.
yeah.
And the first one
That's
doesn't have
wonderful.
any issues whatsoever. The first one has never had a problem in
Yeah.
all the years.
Yeah.
Never had a single problem. So again, I'm only asking for a public safety issue for which we're willing to pay.
I understand you.
Just a dry fire line in case there's a fire.
And I hope you understand, I don't see the benefit,
No vote.
and I see an exposure that it could be something else down the road, because, there's no guarantee that that warehouse will be a warehouse, and we won't have a say in it at all. And I still don't see the benefit, other than a few $100 for a dry spring, not a dry sprinkler, but
Bill, why don't we cut to the chase? I would say some towns, they build these huge suppression tanks to facilitate something like that, costs a couple $100,000. If they were to do something like $200,000 donation to Jarvis Farm or something like that, would that make any difference in your minds, or is philosophically just, not making water available?
I can't say that I couldn't come up with something. What's being proposed, I don't see any benefit to the town of Walpole, and I see a potential exposure that, yes, we're talking about a warehouse but 5 years, 10 years down the road, we don't even know what it is. And all they were doing was going to the Sharon Planning Board saying, we now want permission to do the X, Y, Z and whatever, not to Walpole.
Well,
I'd like to
if I
move
could,
that.
I haven't, cutting to the chase, I haven't said how much we're willing to pay. I asked you how much you want to charge. So to John's point, if a contribution to your water system will make you satisfied that there's a benefit plus the hookup fee, just tell us.
I can't think of a number, because I still don't see, I just don't see, I see why it's a benefit to you. And I can understand, you own the land, you've got everything, and we're holding you up, but I don't see any benefit to Walpole.
Well, again, I would hope for some consideration for the 5 years and time we spent working with Walpole, doing what Walpole wanted.
If you had the hotel, we'd agree to it, we signed,
I
a
would
dotted
much
line.
rather have the hotel. It's
Well,
not
bring
my-
it back, it's a hotel.
There's no market. I
I'm-
can't get financing.
I understand.
COVID did that.
I understand.
So I can't
Conditions
bring it.
changed.
I would bring it back in a heartbeat if I
Yeah.
could.
Okay.
And the reason that I agreed to that is there were benefits to Walpole. It was definite as to what the benefits were. We were getting definite property tax, we were getting some of the, and
So come up with something that makes sense for the board as a benefit.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we reject this request.
All right, we
I'll second
can't
it.
vote on that now, but
can't
you
vote.
can,
oh, we can't.
We
'cause it's
can't
not-
vote.
you have to
Oh,
vote
sorry.
on, you have to
Yeah.
vote on the next meeting. In the
Yeah.
meantime, if anybody has any recommendations, bring them forward.
Well, I guess if someone wants to, I'm willing to be convinced that I'm wrong, but so far it's just Pat and I who've spoken. If there are others, he may leave saying, there's, maybe after, the three who haven't spoken, said, there's no chance. And he goes off and decides to figure out what else he could do
So,
with
this property.
I've
Or-
spoken about it, but I'm not gonna be here on June 12th. I apologize for that. But I think it's the perfect opportunity at a public hearing, when we have the public here, to actually get public input on something like this. So, I mean, I'd ask again, can we move the public hearing to a time that,
Well, we don't, this would require a public hearing if we.
No, but we'd have the
As-
public here to have input, so
Oh,
help us
Yeah,
make it,
well-
see what the public says.
Well, the public already said not to
Yeah.
bring
The public
water
hasn't
into
seen this
a
plan.
different-
they haven't seen this plan, and that's
Yeah,
correct.
but
Let me ask,
they never saw any of the plans, and they still
is there an
said that.
urgency on this
Oh, no,
for feedback to you? Because we have a schedule that's like packed for the next, we have an election, we have a meeting on the 5th, we have rate hearing, but,
So what's the meeting
within
after the
3-4
12th?
weeks,
26th.
maybe,
26th.
Okay,
we could get to a vote.
yeah.
We don't want to rush to a judgment, we can't really vote on this tonight.
No, I will add, by the way, there's a request in the letter from the Sharon Fire. He's requesting the connection, and if you were to ask Chief Bailey, he would also suggest it, because I would hope, I would like to have the two of them here at the
But they're
next
not
hearing.
requesting that we allow that building to be built.
Of course not.
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Chairman, and can't force, but do you have a sense as to, is it worth continuing discussion with this? Pradeep, the same thing, Jeff, the same thing? I mean, if it turns out, wait a minute, all 5 of us, for different reasons, whatever, said, no, we're not interested. If it turns out that 3 or said, yeah, I think that's worthwhile pursuing, then we get a sense of where we're going.
If he
Or
can
maybe it's, well, 2 say, yeah, maybe, and another one says, I could be convinced.
If you want to give him a straw poll, I
You
cannot
just
vote
said you
because
could be convinced.
Yeah, and I'm.
So let's come up with some ideas that might convince us.
If he can give us an answer to the question, what benefit does it give to Walpole?
That's my,
And it's logical and coherent and real,
yeah,
then of course I'd consider it.
yeah, well, that's the thing
And
here.
I
I
think
just
we
don't
all
see
would.
it.
But that's your task.
I
I'm
don't
just,
know what it is that you want.
well, I
We want a
just,
benefit to Walpole.
I agree. So the question is.
That reflects the amount of money we spent to develop infrastructure that would support the industrial water use you require.
We don't require any industrial water use, but I will tell you that your infrastructure out here is awful. You don't even know what's in the ground. Your Department of Public Works didn't know where many of the connections were.
That's not true.
They didn't
That is
know.
absolutely
No,
not
no,
true.
you gave me a bunch of stuff.
That is
Do you
absolutely
have
not
No,
true.
no, and McMahon Associates.
I would say, if I have more on this, I'm in opposition.
If he's providing something.
And
We
so
would
have the
improve
same
what's
thing.
out
I mean,
there.
I think it's just for his benefit to
Okay.
let, so there
You
isn't
gave me
a...
stuff, McMahon gave me stuff, we can't find everything.
Why don't we do
Can we
this?
put on the agenda for?
Yeah, tell them to come back in September.
We'd like to get back to you like in like 30 days, 25 days,
Yeah.
and let you know if they want to discuss any proposals.
Again, my question to you is, how do I find out what it is that would make you comfortable? How do I learn?
Well, the
that?
members are going to think about that if they, and if presented.
You asked me to come up with something, I don't know what to come up with.
I was hoping
Yeah.
that the plan you presented us back in, what, October, November? This is, to me, it's not much different. There's still no tax benefit to us. I was hoping that there was gonna be something where there's some tangible, you know,
Well, I,
sustaining income revenue stream for Walpole, and
well, you have one here.
Applebee's, it exists today.
It exists.
So,
And I have no room for anything else without tearing down the Applebee's, and they have a lease. So, I mean, if I could put a pad on here that would give you some more, I'd do it. There's no room. It's physically impossible. I would, it would be my benefit too if I could get more on here. If I could put more into Walpole, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Could you have a bigger building in Walpole, and the parking is in where you have a warehouse now?
I can't change this building. They have a lease.
Oh, all right, so I don't know how long the lease and all that is, but leases can be overcome with money. Yeah,
Yeah, there'd have to be something to replace it that would make it worth that kind of money.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that potentially having something that, and you wouldn't even need our permission to have a parking lot somewhere else. Maybe zoning would say, wait a minute, the parking has to be in Walpole, but, you know, from the Sewer and Water Commission, I don't think we care where parking is.
Okay.
No, you've given me something to think about. You've given me something to think about, and the trouble, again, is going to be, I'm going to need the cooperation. If I do anything in Walpole, it means going through what I went through for 5 years, 2 boards in
I
2
understand.
towns, tremendous expense, and all because I can't get a water line.
And
for spring.
that's a problem that just in Massachusetts, we make it very difficult to do business. I understand, but it is what it is at this point. But there's an opportunity, maybe you have to spend more money, and maybe you say it's just not worth it. But it comes down to me, and obviously to Pat, that we don't see any value to Walpole in some small amount that we would charge for annually for a sprinkler line doesn't cut it for me.
Well, as I said to you before, what does? So
I'd say-
come back, I don't know. Yeah.
Leaving it empty is...
But we have experts who might be able to come up with some kind of a
That's fine. I
price.
mean, I can't leave it empty, I can't afford to leave it empty.
I can
Okay?
understand that.
That's not your problem, that's my problem. It's a piece of land that is there.
Yeah.
It has value, and something can be done with it. So this is a simple use of the property. What's the benefit for you?
Right.
Tell me what makes it
Can you see
beneficial.
where we saw the benefit when there was a hotel and it was half in, I mean, there were real things, and the selectmen there was a contract with the selectmen, with us. I remember that, I still have those documents
I have them
and
all.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Bill, can we move
And
this
this-
to next
Where's
meeting?
the closest water
Yeah.
line in Sharon is? Where's Sharon's closest
As
water?
far as I can find out, across 95. I can't
How
find
do
a
they
water.
provide water to those houses that are on that street?
I don't know. I looked for hydrants, I couldn't find them. And by the way, I apologize for this.
So to be continued, I think we've exhausted the discussion at this point. We'll have to see if,
Let's close this today and why don't you, if you have something to offer to the town of Walpole, you can come back again in the later meetings. Let's say 30 days later. Just rethink up from your point of view and then I think we'll take its time.
If I had something, Mr. Misher, I would have done it. If I was physically, again, the more I can put on the property, the better off I am, right?
So how much would it cost to have Sharon, wherever their water lines is, to bring it to your property?
Millions.
Well, all right, so I guess I can
One piece of
understand.
property? I don't think so.
Well,
So-
then maybe there's other property along in there, on that side of 95 that is sitting vacant, waiting for water. I don't know.
all right.
All right.
Thank you,
All right,
thank you all,
thank you for your
appreciate
time.
it.
Yeah.
Close the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, 500, thank you.